Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening. The threat of an early trip to the polls has for now been extinguished, with Elise Archer resigning from State Parliament. The former Attorney-General had been given a deadline by the Premier. Jeremy Rockliff tonight clings on to power, but Tasmania's powder keg Parliament could still be ready to blow.
After pushing Tasmania to the brink of an election, Elise Archer's laid down her bow, the former Attorney-General withdrawing her threat to stay in Parliament and topple the government, formally resigning today. This is done with an extremely heavy heart, particularly given the outpouring of support I've received. It has been an agonising decision made more difficult by the Premier's rather aggressive and erroneous threat yesterday, followed by an even more threatening letter today. The Premier this morning wrote to Elise Archer, demanding she provide confidence and supply, or a resignation from Parliament by 9 a.m. on Monday. If not, he'd write to the Governor requesting an election. Just an hour later, Ms Archer backed down. This is more evidence, now made public by the Premier, of how I have been treated as a member of Cabinet and this government. I now hope others in the Parliament will act, noting this government remains in minority and an early election seems inevitable.
We welcome stability and certainty for Tasmanians. That's what they deserve. That's what we're all elected to deliver.
Liberal Party State President Michael McKenna calling the past few days extremely difficult, but thanking Elise Archer for her service.
Jeremy Rockliff has shown Tasmanians that he is a weak leader. He has handled this latest chaos in his party room very poorly. He's hemorrhaging members of his own party room. He's lost 3 this year alone.
Responding to claims he should challenge for the leadership or be the Peter Costello of Tasmanian politics, the Deputy Premier says,
I'm the Michael Ferguson, the boy that was raised by Colin and Glennis to be loyal, to be honest, to focus on our local community and to keep my word.
I don't think he is the leader. Every other leader would have challenged.
A recount from Ms Archer's place will likely elect Hobart City Councillor and Liberal staffer Simon Barakis, but it won't be completed by October 17 when Parliament returns, the government taking up Labor's offer of a pair. The opposition says there's too much to do, highlighting social housing failures.
The wait list has now gone up to over 4,600 people, waiting on average 81 weeks. That's the worst it's ever been in Tasmania's history.
The Premier said the projects of state significance order for the Macquarie Point Stadium would go through Parliament this month. A bill also has to be passed to fund $23 million worth of immediate actions promised in response to the Commission of Inquiry report.
There's been a whole week of the government navel-gazing in internal chaos, and meanwhile they haven't been focusing on keeping children safe in Tasmania and working on the Commission of Inquiry report.
In the face of important work, Tasmania's political circus rolls on.
For more on this, we're joined by state political reporter Josh Duggan. Josh, the Premier's still standing, but at what cost?
Kim, Jeremy Rockliff has stared down Elise Archer, which is no mean feat, but it's fair to say that this has been another embarrassingly public chapter of internal warfare, and we'll have to wait to see what the lasting consequences of that are. While this immediate threat has been dealt with and the Deputy Premier has said there's no chance of a leadership spill from him, there are still big challenges ahead. The government's minority government partners are looking increasingly edgy, and the events of the past week are unlikely to calm any internal doubters. Parliament returns on October 17 and we don't know what will happen then. Labor have offered the pair, but they're also probably going to move a no confidence motion. It still could be a case of when, not if, an early election comes. Kim?
Okay, thank you very much there, Josh Duggan. Well, Labor has been forced to confirm it supports the introduction of a mandatory cashless gaming card after comments by Rebecca White. Asked this morning about the party's stance, she instead raised concerns about the timeline before then confirming her support when pushed.
Labor remains committed to harm minimisation, including the implementation of mandatory pre-commitment player cards.
The Hospitality Association, who opposes it, says it's still in the dark.
Told that this beast of a mandatory pre-commitment is going to be built in with us next year, but we've got no details whatsoever.
The government has planned for the card to be introduced by 2024. A head-on crash on the Bass Highway has claimed the life of a 65-year-old woman from Crayfish Creek. She was driving a white Holden ute which collided with a blue Land Rover at Hellier yesterday afternoon. The 32-year-old driver of the Land Rover received serious injuries and was taken to the North West Regional Hospital. 3 passengers in the Land Rover were also injured and taken to Burnie by ambulance. Anyone who witnessed the crash about 3:30 yesterday is asked to contact Tasmania Police. Police efforts to intercept drugs across the state have paid off thanks to tips from the community. It's resulted in more than $700,000 worth of drugs seized. Crime Stoppers is now urging anyone with relevant information which could keep dangerous drugs off our streets to come forward.
This drug haul an example of 6 months of investigations by Tasmania Police, warning wrongdoers its efforts are far from over.
During this particular targeted period, we've seized over 3 kilos of cocaine, 246 ecstasy tablets, nearly 8 kilos of methamphetamine, pharmaceuticals, opioids and steroids.
Police operations conducted as part of a national campaign, reeling in those alleged to be behind the illicit drug trade.
Never seen so much activity all around the country.
Many of the substances seized are a direct result of anonymous tips sent in from Tasmanians, leading police to solve the case.
And in our particular state of Tasmania, we've seen a great interest from our local communities where there have been hotspots. They just want to make sure they're protecting their own patch as well.
Crime Stoppers again putting the call out to anyone who may be holding onto vital information.
And it might be that we have 80% of the picture, but we're just missing that registration number, that car, the name of a suspect. It's those little details that can really make a major breakthrough in investigation.
Police say the intended locations of its recent drug busts weren't headed for any particular part of Tasmania. But regardless, the need to get drugs off all streets is now more important than ever.
We see the impacts of drugs when it comes to things like, family violence, antisocial behaviour and things like that.
Anyone with information is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. Ruby Cairns, 7 Tasmania News.
Hobart's role in Australia's Antarctic program is under the microscope, with a Senate committee investigating the Australian Antarctic Division holding hearings in the city. UTAS, Tasports and the Community and Public Sector Union were among those giving evidence today. The inquiry is being held in response to proposed funding cuts to the division. Tasmania's position as the gateway to Antarctica is also set to be scrutinised. The hearing ends tomorrow. The first sod has been turned on a long-awaited infrastructure project on the northwest coast. Works are officially underway on the Kui to Wynyard Coastal Pathway, hoping to better connect communities along the way.
Shovels in the ground and ready to go.
This will be the best footpath cycleway in Australia.
Digging in to mark the start of the Kui to Wynyard Coastal Pathway, a project decades in the making.
Because it has been a long time in the making. There have been a lot of hiccups and setbacks along the way.
We're very excited to be investing $13.8 million. It's a big amount of money, but it's going to have a great outcome for our local community.
Works are now underway to build the almost 14-kilometre multi-purpose track designed for the entire community to share and enjoy.
Where people can get out, they don't have to drive on the roads, and it can be a real family affair to go from one area to the other.
I think this just brings fantastic health and lifestyle recreation benefits to the whole region.
The project breathing new life into the old rail line.
We're pulling up the old rail infrastructure, disposing of the rail, disposing of the sleepers, putting down new gravel, sealing that with asphalt.
Today's sod turning ceremony, the latest milestone for the region's connectivity.
The Coastal Pathway project is linking up communities right along the northwest coast in a beautiful way, providing recreational outdoor activity opportunities.
They'll swap shovels for ribbon cutting scissors late next year. Victoria Easto, 7 Tasmania News.
The first orange-bellied parrots of the season have returned to Tasmania. 10 individual birds have been recorded at the Melaleuca feeding tables by volunteers of the Orange-Bellied Parrot Tasmania program. Half of those were captive bred juveniles released in the past 3 years. Over the coming weeks, adult parrots from the 5 Mile Beach captive breeding facility will be released. Last year, 59 fledglings were produced. Entries are now open for Tasmanians who are keen to lace up their sneakers for the 41st Cadbury Marathon. They'll run laps from Claremont to the Bowen Bridge to raise awareness and funds for health-related research at the Royal Hobart Hospital.
We think it's really important that we promote the idea that physical activity and exercise is important in reducing the risk of disease and conditions.
The best bit is that finish line feeling, when all of that hard work has got you to the end and you cross the line and you have that exhilarating feeling of having achieved your goal.
The event will kick off the new year on January 7. 4-time Olympian Lauren Jackson has shared tips and tricks with some of the state's junior basketball players. But those involved in the sport say it highlights a dire need for improved facilities.
Learning skills from one of basketball's greatest female athletes.
We did dribbling 2 balls at a time. I wasn't very good at that, but when the coach started to help us, I was getting better.
My favourite thing that I learnt was the shooting, where you have to follow through.
Former Opal Lauren Jackson passing on her knowledge to the next generation. The clinic, part of the She Hoops program, which attracted 150 juniors.
It's been really fun with Lauren Jackson. She's basically making us all better to become better basketballers.
The holiday camps are brilliant because we're able to sort of get out and connect with the kids that are coming through. But I think it's more just being able to talk to them about having dreams and goals, because I was those kids. I come from Albury-Wodonga.
The Launceston Basketball Association thriving in the game's growth.
Association has grown by 84% in the last 3 years. We have over 500 teams and we run our competition 6-7 nights a week.
But acknowledge the lack of facilities is holding the game back.
Unfortunately, with the court numbers that we have around the state, isn't ideal and able to keep up with the increase in participation. So, we need more courts.
Right now, it's about showing the girls what's possible. Talia Jordan, 7 Tasmania News.
Christmas is coming early to local shop windows across Hobart ahead of the window display competition. The Hobart City Council encourages other traders to decorate their shop fronts with tinsel, baubles and all things festive.
There's prizes, there's recognition, we hope people taking an interest in visiting the shops that are part of the competition. We'll be promoting all of the businesses that are part of this competition.
Some, like Lily and Dot, are already getting their windows prepared.
We've got a few creative things under wraps for our Christmas window this year. The staff have been working on some fabulous crocheted items.
Also prizes on offer for the most decorative display. The Tasmanian Museum and Art Gallery is turning to technology to bring its exhibits to life during the school holidays. This year's Lift-Off Festival includes a new hidden creature gallery. 25 different animals can be accessed through augmented reality, helping tell the story of the TMAG collection, with the characters voiced by young people.
To make an animated creature that tells us about the history of the object itself, but also interestingly how the kids see the object and the things that they find interesting about the objects.
It's a quite innovative project for the sector. Really great example of how digital engagement can kind of extend beyond the walls of the museum.
The Lift-Off Festival runs until Saturday. Tasmania's hospitality industry has come together to say cheers and celebrate another big year for the sector. 700 people gathered in the Botanical Gardens this afternoon for the Industry Excellence Awards. After enduring a tough period, the association's CEO says many are starting to feel confident about the future.
Venues can bring a lot of their staff and we can really celebrate all the great things of industry. So it is a real celebration of the industry that we're really happy with.
The event recognising dozens of local venues across 38 different categories. A record number of the North West Coast's brightest young achievers have been celebrated at a lunch in Devonport. 53 Tasmanians were nominated for this year's Inspiring Youth Awards, recognised across 3 separate categories.
That's for 13 to 20-year-olds who are
just chipping in, leaning into their community, supporting people or causes that they're really interested in. And
now, in its 4th year, the awards hope to shine a light on the many positive contributions young people make in the community.
The Northern Tasmanian Football Association will reach a target 6 years in the making next season, and St Pat's Football Club is set to play a big part in the milestone moment. The club today announcing it's received the go-ahead for a women's team to join the competition.
Walking United as part of the inaugural female team for St Pat's Football Club.
We've been up at the club as a trainer, and now to be part of the girls team is going to be very exciting, and I'm happy to be part of it all.
The club granted a provisional licence by the Northern Tasmania Football Association for the 2024 season.
We had a plan from day one to eventually come to 14 teams. It's taken us about 6 years to get there and about 3 years of hard work.
The club says more than 30 players have already committed, with Roger Menzies appointed as coach. An idea which was spurred on by his daughter Stella, who wanted to return to playing.
She said to me, she said, "Dad, I wouldn't mind playing football again." And then she heard about the side starting here, so she said, "Dad, put your hand up."
As the game grows, professional development is in the eye of the NTFA.
We need to provide competitions for every level of that sport.
There's plenty of opportunity out there, and the sport's growing, especially in the women's side of it. It's growing a real lot, so yeah, it's good.
Talia Jordan, 7 Tasmania News.
One of Tasmania's top AFL draft contenders has returned home after a big weekend on the national stage. Irish Maker admitting he was a little starstruck, rubbing shoulders with the likes of Brendan Favola and James Sicily on the banks of the Yarra River. The left footer booting 53.7 metres to finish 8th in this year's longest kick.
It was a bit nerve-wracking being up there. It was my first time in front of the camera, so yeah, just the experience was just awesome, and there was a heap of people there as well.
Ari giving footy fans a taste of what could be to come. The young gun is eagerly counting down until the draft next month. A century from Charlie Wakeham has helped Tasmania take control of their Sheffield Shield clash against South Australia. He and Caleb Jewell dominated the morning session with their 189-run partnership, helping the Tigers score a crucial first innings lead.
Looking to build on last night, Caleb Jewell and Charlie Wakeham made a solid start to day 2, both bringing up half centuries early in the session.
And that is a nice shot, pulled away by Wakeham, crunches into the pickets with a bang.
The duo tormenting the Redbacks bowlers, with the runs flowing for both.
That's a lovely shot, a little square drive, and that is going to go for 4 runs.
Wakeham's aggressive batting paying off, bringing up a well-made ton.
Half a shout, they've charged away, and that'll be the 100. Wakeham in celebration mode.
A sensational catch eventually getting him for 110. Jewell made 87 before falling just after the lunch break.
Goes for it in the air down to long leg, and the catch is taken, so he's fallen for the trap.
Jordan Silk also back in the pavilion a short time later. Matthew Wade and Bo Webster then combined, their 83-run partnership giving Tasmania a first innings lead by tea. Wade, Bradley Hope and Mitch Owen all fell quickly around the break, Tasmania losing 3 for 12. Bo Webster's early season white ball form carried over to red ball cricket.
Oh, he's got a lovely piece of that. He's just picked that up.
Aided by Jared Freeman, they steered the Tigers past 350. Webster notched up another 50 along the way, frustrating South Australia's bowlers.
Nicely driven by Webster through the offside. A race for pace here on the boundary, but the ball will win.
Webster and the tail's resistance eventually ending on 381. The Tigers in front, but they have work to do tomorrow. John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
And just a short time ago, South Australia trailing Tasmania by 27 runs with 7 wickets remaining in its second innings. And finally tonight, one of the nation's most decorated female basketballers has thrown her support behind a Tasmanian NBL 1 star. Lauren Jackson today saying Launceston Tornadoes forward Keely Froling could go all the way.
Keely, she's one that she's got a great career ahead of her, and yeah, she's definitely on track for the Australian team, there's no doubt about it.
Jackson herself is a 4-time Olympian.
Good evening. Hobart's top of 12 today was 5 degrees below average. Launceston's 13, also 5 below normal. Devonport recorded 14 and Burnie 15. 17 was the high. That was at Strawn and Smithton. King Island 16 today. Flinders Island and Lowhead 13. St Helens and Bushy Park 12. Friendly Beaches 11. A lot of low numbers. Lyowini a top of just 4. Cloud did stream over us from the north today, bringing the showers 15 millimetres at Grey, the highest reading to 3 p.m. Flinders Island 11 millimetres. A large area of cloud is over the nation's southeast. Extensive storms were brewing over northeast New South Wales. Some low-level cloud around the coastlines. Tomorrow, a low deepens east of Flinders Island with an attached cold front extending over the Tasman Sea. A high moves over central Australia and a trough covers a lot of ground too. South to southwesterly winds at 30 knots for most of the coast, but to 40 knots over eastern waters. Swells up to 3.5 metres. A gale warning has been posted for waters from the northern tip of Flinders Island down to Tasman Island. A strong wind warning for remaining coastal waters. Also a warning to sheep graziers on the Furneaux Islands and the southeast of the state for the expected cold temperatures and the southwest winds. Hobart 17 and a shower or two. Cygnet 16, 17 the top for New Norfolk. Bit of rain moving over. Launceston partly cloudy and 17. Devonport the same and 15 the high for Campbelltown. A possible shower in the central areas. Becoming windy and partly cloudy for Burnie. 15 the top. 14 for Strawn with showers increasing. Partly cloudy for Smithton and windy. 15 the high. 15 for St Helens with a shower, Swansea 16, 14 the top for Fingal with showers down the east coast. Friday now and showers over the west and far south with snow to 700 metres. A cold day produced by the continuing south-westerlies. Another light shower over the west on Saturday, the cold winds easing later in the day. And on Sunday a morning frost over the north and east, however a little warmer across the state. Sunny and 27 in Perth. Tomorrow a shower on the way for Adelaide and Melbourne, easing from Canberra. A windy but fine 23 in Sydney, a shower and a top of 29 in Brisbane. Shower here too at the moment in Hobart 10 degrees, further north in Launceston 11 and further northwest cloudy and 13 in Devonport at the moment. Kim, I can't understand this weather. Must be that global cooling at play.
Oh, it is crazy. Thank you very much, Murph. That is all your news for now. We'll have news breaks throughout the evening. For now, thanks for joining us and good night.